In this episode of Fictional Hangover, we talk about sparkles and tingles, awkward flirting, vanilla dates, and poorly photocopied pamphlets in our discussion of The Golden Lily by Rochelle Mead. God, I tried to keep it together. I really did, but poorly photocopied pamphlets is just...
Yeah, it got me as well.
Hey everybody, welcome to Fictional Hangover, a podcast about young adult and new adult books, series, authors, and voice actors that is full of spoilers. I'm Amanda.
And I'm Claire, and today we're going to discuss The Golden Lily, Book 2 in the Bloodline series by Rochelle Mead.
Standard disclaimer, if you haven't read this book, please remember that Fictional Hangover is all about spoilers. If you haven't read or listened and don't want to be spoiled, stop listening to us and go read or listen to the book, then come back. If you haven't done this but want to pretend that you have, or if you don't care about spoilers, or if you just love us so much that you don't care about any of that, then listen up.
Yay!
Yay! Yay!
Book 2, Bloodlines.
I know!
I feel like you need to insert the phrase here. We have more. Insert name here.
Adrian!
No, go.
You have to
I'm too busy dreaming about Dimitri still.
Oh, no. No, Adrian! Adrian! I love him! Even more in this one, and it's only gonna get better.
And it's only book 2.
I know.
There's still 4 more.
There's still 4 more to go. Oh.
What's the next one called?
Indigo Spell.
Ooh, ooh. Ooh.
Ooh. Ooh, indeed. Ooh.
That makes you think.
Ooh.
Right. I look forward to our recordings because as soon as we get done recording, I go and get the next audio book in the series, and then I sit there and look at it and go, I can't listen to it yet because I've still got some other books to get to first. But I know it's there, and I know it's downloaded, and I know it's ready to go whenever I need it. Well, that's my background info. Do you have any for The Golden Lily? Oh, so bad.
We're the worst at segues.
Well, this is what you get when everything's off the cuff.
It's all,
to be fair, if
all
we
terrible
pre-planned them,
all
it
the
would be
time.
even worse. It would be even worse if I planned them.
Yeah, that's true. They would sound like you planned them.
Let us talk about this now.
Hello,
Yes.
I am reading from a
Presenting.
cue card.
It would sound like the robot on Zoom who goes, this call is being recorded.
Yes, we would. So, my background info this time, I went back to Blue Succubus, okay? I didn't do it last time. I'm back to Blue Succubus. I don't think I did it the time before either. But whatever, I'm back.
Yeah,
I'm back.
It's been a couple of weeks.
I'm back to the Blue
Least a couple of
Succubus.
weeks.
So,
Yes.
but with
Stop caveating this.
no,
You
look.
can't.
Okay, look, no, my caveat now is this really belongs at the end of the episode for favorite final thought quotes, because what I have is a collection of 4 of Rochelle Mead's own favorite quotes from Golden Lily. So, like,
Oh, I feel all weird that we're doing things out of sequence. Ooh.
right? So we'll just share hers.
Yeah.
And then we'll share ours later in the
Okay.
in the appropriate time.
Okay.
So, these are her 4 favorite quotes from The Golden Lily. Number 1. Sydney, this is the kind of shirt that says, "You're never getting in here."
You know for a fact she had a shirt in mind. There was a particular shirt she was referencing that,
yeah.
and it was in her closet.
Oh, definitely. Number 2. Sorry, ma'am, I'm already caught up in one epic battle of good versus evil. I don't need another.
Yes, I love that.
Yes.
I love that.
Number 3. I felt the need to clarify we were there for the self-defense class in case he also taught about dog breeding or riding the high seas. Wolf! No!
In the middle of the desert, we're going to talk about riding the high seas.
I love Wolf. And finally, number 4. You are the most beautiful creature I have ever seen walking this earth. Adrian, you're so swoony.
Adrian has all the lines.
Yep.
All of the lines. But it's not just that. He knows how to deliver them as well.
He does. He really does. Oh, he's so great. So great. You know, I forgot how much I love this series.
I think I'm finding that as we're going through the book club, because obviously this is the book we talk about in our monthly book club.
Mm-hmm.
There are a few people who have already read it, and you know, revisiting the series has been great for them because, like yourself, they've forgotten so much.
Yeah. I love it. So great.
Yeah. Is there anything in particular, apart from Adrian, is there anything in the series so far you're enjoying the most? You can't say Adrian.
Why can't
So
I
that would be
say?
the
Why
answer.
can't I?
Because that's the obvious answer. It's like asking what's your third favourite dinosaur. That's a conversation starter.
I think I really like that I forgot about Sydney learning to use magic, but being so opposed to using magic. I forgot all about that. You know, I just remember that, oh yeah, Sydney does magic. But I forgot how much she hated it and how much she's just suffering with it. Forgot about that. Forgot all about Mr. Williger, actually, if I'm being completely honest. So
She's such a good character.
she is, and I feel badly that I forgot about her, but oh well.
You see, this is the beauty, and I don't understand people who don't reread books, because I love to reread books. I like enjoying the emotions I had when I originally read it, mixed with the new ones. I like finding new things. I like knowing the big plots and seeing actually all the hints through. It's not like it doesn't spoil the story for me.
Yeah.
And then revisiting characters or finding characters that you completely forgot about. And that's kind of an element of, as if, you know, when you first read the book and go, oh, and especially when it's a character that you love so much.
Yeah.
I do like a reread. My initial thoughts are very simple. Woo! And indeed, woo!
Excellent.
I love reading the series.
Excellent.
You know my feelings on vampire fiction. Like, more
Yes.
is better.
Yes, all vampires all the time.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Let's get into it. It's time. It's not time.
No, not
But
that
it is-
time. It's the other time.
it is the other
It is
time.
a time that something needs to happen.
Indeed. Indeed it is. Sydney, our favorite alchemist in charge of keeping Moroi, Jill Mastrano Dragomir, safe at Amberwood Prep in Palm Springs, is currently not in Palm Springs. She's in an alchemist bunker in Virginia. As part of her job as an alchemist, Sydney sometimes has to make reports about her duties. This time, however, she was flown to the bunker and questioned about Keith Darnell. Keith, if you will remember, is a rapist douchebag who was selling vampire blood and alchemist secrets to a tattoo shop back in Palm Springs.
What an asshole.
Everyone think about Keith for a second, okay? Just think about him. Just think about him and stew about him. Rage. When Sydney discovered his plot, she, along with sexy Moroi Adrian Ivashkov, turned Keith
Wow,
in.
that was obvious.
What? Just because I added in the word sexy doesn't mean anything. So they turned Keith in, which resulted in him being sent to an alchemist re-education center. Sydney's being questioned now about whether or not Keith should be allowed to return to his duties or if he should be re-educated some more. Sydney tells the alchemists interrogating her, including Keith's own father, Tom, that Keith doesn't love vampires, which is the point of the re-educating, but that he's just a terrible person. So he shouldn't be able to return to regular duties, but also shouldn't be re-educated anymore. He just needs to be on probation or taken out back and quietly disposed of.
Prison, an island where with no supplies and sharks.
While leaving the bunker, Sydney is shown a room where re-education therapy is taking place. A human who desperately wants to be Strigoi is in a room with bright UV lights. He threatens to eat Sydney and her guide, so they leave him there. On her way out and back to Palm Springs, Tom tells Sydney the Alchemists are sending Keith back to re-education. Wah, wah.
Fake tears. On her way back to Amberwood, picked up at the airport by Dimitri, Sydney learns that he and Sonia are taking a break from their spirit magic healing Strigoi studies for the weekend. Sydney checks her email and worries that she's getting too close to the Moroi and thinks that she should be the one in the re-education centre. No. Jill is complaining about Angeline, her new roommate and cousin, inverted commas, and former member of the Keepers, the mixed backwoods group of Moroi, Dhampirs and humans. She's not fitting in so well at Amberwood. She also has an email from Adrian who refers to himself as Prisoner 24601 from Les Mis. She jokingly responds to him that he couldn't possibly have read the book and must have seen the musical instead. But he responds that he read Spark Notes. Oh, that's excellent research skills. Well done, Adrian. She deletes the exchange, worrying that it's further proof of her growing affection for vampires.
Back on campus, Sydney has to deal with Angeline, who has gotten in trouble for wearing cut-off short shorts and Jill's tank tops, even though she's way bigger up top than Jill is. God, I love Angeline. Eddie, the Dhampir guardian assigned to accompany them and act as their brother, has already gone out and bought Angeline new clothes. He doesn't want to give them to her personally, though, because she's always flirting with him, and he's only got eyes for Jill. Speaking of relationships, Trey Juarez, Sydney's friend and classmate, offers to set her up with a guy that just started working at the coffee shop. She doesn't have time for relationships, though. She and Eddie go to Adrian's, formerly Keith's, apartment and get back to work with Sonia and Dimitri, trying to figure out the unstrigoying process that started at the end of the last book. Nothing has really been learned so far, but they'll continue until they find something. During a break, Sonia and Sydney go grab dinner, and a human speaks to Sonia as if he knows her and claims that they met in Kentucky a year ago. But that's not possible. She was a Strigoi then, and she definitely would have eaten him. Weird.
The next day at school, Sydney works with Miss Twilliger, who, although she knows Sydney is uncomfortable with humans being able to wield magic, makes her learn spells by translating texts. She sends Sydney on a coffee run where she meets that guy that Trey wanted to set her up with, Brayden. They might actually be soulmates and even make plans to watch Shakespeare later. Sydney has a date. Oh my gosh. And everyone has to help her get ready. Her friends Kristen and Julia help pick out an outfit, and Jill chimes in with arbitrary rules about ordering food and who should pay. How does Jill know this stuff?
Magazines.
Brayden is just as awkward as Sydney, and the date is vanilla as it gets. Though Sydney does crack up when a college bro quietly opens a beer, reminding her of something Adrian would do. The date ends with a handshake and plans to go out again. What a pleasant evening we've had, shaking hands.
I love the handshake. It's so bad.
You see, Brayden would do a handshake, and you know, if it was a bro, he'd do a crisp high five.
Yes, definitely. The handshake is too much for Adrian.
It's too much for us.
He finds it ridiculous and pokes fun at Sydney when they all go to Clarence's for their bi-weekly blood drinking. Sonia and Dimitri are staying with Clarence, who is pestering Dimitri about changing locks and vampire hunters coming for him. Dimitri placates the old vampire, and then he and Sonia start talking about the unstragoying science again. They tiptoe around Lee's death since he was Clarence's son, but the fact that his blood tasted different to the Strigoi means something. When it's Adrian's turn with the feeder, he asks Sydney to walk with him, and he asks her to drive him to visit his father in a few weeks. Things haven't been good between them since the end of Last Sacrifice, with Adrian's mom in jail and him being cut off financially, but he hopes that he'll be able to convince his father that he's a better person now. He's attending college, and he's worthy of his respect. And his money. Come on. It's all about the money. Sydney agrees to take him, and then she returns to the unstragoying conversation.
Sonia and Dimitri have realised the thing that Sydney was hoping they'd never realise. That her alchemist blood was completely undrinkable by the Strigoi and Lee. They want to run tests on it, which freaks her out. Humans should never give blood to vampires. She politely declines several times, but they keep insisting. Adrian comes in then, angry, yelling at Sonia and Dimitri to leave Sydney alone and to respect her wishes. It's like, whoa. Really, really defensive there.
Whoa.
They leave Clarence's after that. No one's ever seen Adrian so angry or protective before. Sydney thinks he's just doing it because she's driving him to see his father. Jill doesn't believe that for a second. Neither do we.
Neither do we, Jill. We know what's up. Back at school, Angeline is back to unflinchingly flirting with Eddie and asks him to go to the school Halloween dance with her. When Jill and Micah, Eddie's roommate and Jill's boyfriend, come up, Micah finds it odd that these cousins want to go to the dance together.
Ew.
Gross. Uh-oh. The family cover story is slipping. They play it off as a joke, but that is not a funny joke. It's gross. Sydney goes on another date with Brayden to a wind farm.
Ooh.
And when she disagrees with him on renewable resources, he kisses her.
Oh, that's so hot.
Apparently, no one ever tells Brayden he's wrong. Then he asks her to the dance and on another date.
Later, Sydney helps Miss Twilliger again, and they get into a sort of argument about her forcing Sydney to learn magic when she clearly is opposed to it. But Miss Twilliger tells her that sure, magic can be bad when used for the wrong reasons, but Sydney is level-headed and does things for the right reasons, and she has an innate magical ability. She's sent off for coffee after that. Sydney begs Trey for help with Brayden because now he's buying her flowers. Call back again.
I know. He's speaking the language of flowers. Why does this keep happening? It's weird.
I'm feeling a little stalked by this trope now, but
I know.
Okay. Well, and she doesn't know what to do, understandably, and relationships. Oh, so hard.
What is this? What are relationships?
Especially when they're speaking with the language of flowers. I'm sure we established last week, if somebody starts doing that, no, you walk away.
No, it's bad. Sydney and Brayden's date ends up being on the morning she promised to take Adrian to see his dad. So he gets to meet Brayden and puts on the overprotective brother act. They leave before he can be too hard on him, though. They arrive at the restaurant, and while they wait for Adrian's dad to arrive, Adrian asks if Hayden, Brandon, what's his name? If he makes her happy. He doesn't make her unhappy, so that's something. Plus, she doesn't have to dumb things down with him. Adrian is mockingly offended and tells her she never has to dumb things down with him because he likes learning from her. She's like a picture book or an after-school special.
That's a sexy image, isn't it?
So great. Then Adrian's dad arrives.
Lunch with Nathan Vashkov is the worst.
Oh, he's the worst. He's terrible.
The worst. He's terrible to Adrian and bossy and arrogant and just really the worst. Ugh. Adrian asks about his mom in between being put down over and over again and learns that Nathan will not tell Adrian anything about Daniela because he thinks she's better off without him. That's rough. She was always worried about him and she got sent to prison trying to help him. Basically, everything terrible that has ever happened in all of it is all Adrian's fault. Let's just blame him.
Yeah, of course. Everything's his fault.
Totally reasonable. Not. On the drive back to Palm Springs, Adrian is depressed because of everything his father said. Not really that he said it, but that he said it in front of Sydney, and that she might have believed that Adrian is awful. Adrian doesn't know that when he stormed out the restaurant after one too many chastisements, Sydney stood up to Nathan on his behalf. Sydney puts her hand on Adrian's, feeling a tingly rush that she definitely doesn't get from Braden, and tells Adrian that she thinks very highly of him and appreciates him. Then they stop for slushies, something Adrian mentioned he loves. Squee!
Back at school, they have an assembly.
Oh no.
It's one of those no sex, no alcohol, abstinence is great things, which is so stupid. Jill is constantly giggling, but it's probably because Adrian is depressed and drunk because of his terrible father, and she's picking it up through the bond. Eddie wants to do something about it, but, about Adrian constantly making Jill go through stuff like this. And Sydney shockingly says that Jill should try being happy about being alive, thanks to Adrian.
Oh.
Whoa.
Wow.
I mean, I kind of agree.
Oh, yeah. But coming from Sydney, that's like...
Whoa.
Whoa.
Before they can talk much more about that, one of the abstinence band members tries to get Angeline to come up on stage and dance, but then she punches that guy and another couple of bandmates and throws his speaker across the room. God, I love Angeline. Sydney is forced to go to the principal's office with her, and when she's threatened with expulsion, Sydney says that the guy should not have put his hands on Angeline. Then Angeline starts crying, saying she was overwhelmed and the guy was scary and she didn't know what to do. She punched him and several others.
Reasonable.
It's totally reasonable. The principal only suspends her this time. Afterward, Sydney goes off on Angeline and tells her she needs to do better and to please, for the love of everything, stop flirting with Eddie because it's making him miserable.
To get away from her family drama, Sydney goes to Clarence's to talk to Dimitri and Sonia about Adrian, and they end up going out to dinner. Sydney hopes that they can talk Lissa into telling Nathan and Vashkov that Adrian is doing good things. Sonia says she will definitely talk to Lissa. When Dimitri gets a phone call from Rose, Sonia suggests they give him some privacy, so she and Sydney go to a costume shop for something for Sydney to wear to the Halloween dance. While there, Sydney is approached by Leah, the fashion designer that Jill modelled for in Bloodlines. She desperately wants Jill to come back, but she can't because she doesn't need to be seen since, she's in hiding. Leah won't stop until she gets Jill back and offers to make them Halloween costumes. Possibly as bribery. Possibly because cheap Halloween costumes are the worst. As Sydney and Sonia leave the shop, they are attacked.
The attackers come at Sonia with a sword. call her an evil creature of the night, and try to decapitate her. Sydney screams for help, and Dimitri comes running. He fights off the guy with the sword, and the others say they should leave, probably because they're terrified of the fighting Russian in a duster. Sydney didn't get a good look at them, but she knew they were human and kind of thought one of them was familiar. Gasp! Maybe it was that guy who claimed to know Sonia earlier. They examine the sword after the guys run off, and Sydney recognizes an ancient alchemy symbol on it, a circle and a dot that used to represent the sun and or gold, but alchemists wouldn't attack like that. They head to Adrian's afterward because it's close by. He is concerned for Sydney's well-being. Sonia offers to heal the scrape on Sydney's face with her spirit magic, but she turns it down. Notice that Adrian didn't offer, 'cause he knows. He's so sweet.
Oh, she's turned to goo. With Miss Twilliger the next day, Sydney focuses on the spells, but also thinks about self-defense. She asks Miss Twilliger about the point of using spells to fight because they take a long time to prepare. They talk about the fire charm that was quick and useful, and then Miss Twilliger starts talking about other things that could be useful for defence. But Sydney clams up then, claiming she doesn't want to use magic like that, or, at all. Now, it's not what it seems, Sydney. Come on. Anywho, Trey comes in then, asking for notes he missed from class earlier, saying he was away for family reasons. That's an excuse Sydney uses a whole heck of a lot. He's been missing classes a lot. He's always covered in bruises. She gets texts from Braden asking her to dinner, and from Adrian asking how she's feeling and if she wants to take self-defense classes together. He also asks if she thinks Clarence might be telling the truth about the vampire hunters after all. If so, he definitely needs to learn some self-defense too. After all her texting, Trey asks if Angeline got expelled and is excited that she only got suspended because he wants to ask her out.
Ooh. Something is...
So much romance at Emberwood.
Ooh, something so sexy about punching people and throwing speakers.
Hey, that's a mad skill.
Sydney has her first self-defense class the next day with Adrian. They drive out in the middle of nowhere to what looks like the set of a horror movie and pay a scruffy-looking guy with an eye patch named Wolf $150 for their lessons.
Totally legit.
No.
Nothing suspicious.
No, it's totally fine. I love Wolf and his Hawaiian shirts and his eye patch and his, sea of dogs that he has. Okay, so even though he looks super shady, Wolf is actually a pretty good instructor. He teaches the small group ways to get away or to avoid being attacked in the first place, then lets them practice on each other. As Adrian goes for a break, Sydney sneak attacks him, and they're both startled by the touch and close contact. When she gets back to school, she talks to Jill, who is worried because Micah kissed her. What if he saw her fangs? She can't let that happen. Then Sydney gets a couple of deliveries. Halloween costumes from Leah and a protective spells book from Mr. Williger. The spell book makes her so angry, and she plans to return it soon.
The time for the Halloween dance arrives, and Sydney is appalled by her red Grecian dress. Oh my gosh. Leah really overdid it. Sydney never, ever wears red, but she's stunning, and everyone tells her so. She, Eddie, and Jill go to the dance and meet up with Braden and Micah. They are dancing and enjoying themselves, but then Jill spots Angeline, who is definitely still suspended and who is definitely not supposed to be there. A teacher heads towards her and Trey, who are near the punch bowl, but then it conveniently explodes. Sydney glances at Jill, who at least looks a little sheepish. Sydney tells Eddie he's got to get Angeline out of there and tells Jill to get Micah and leave. It's not like anyone will actually know she exploded the punch bowl with her water magic, but still. As Sydney and Braden share another dance, her phone rings. It's Adrian. He's outside.
And drunk.
Oh no.
When he sees Sydney in her dress, he brightens. But then Braden comes out, asking if everything's okay. Adrian mockingly compliments Braden's costume, and then Braden goes off on how historically inaccurate Sydney's beautiful red dress is.
What?
He's the worst.
A beige basic. He's just basic.
Sydney takes Adrian home after that, and it starts to storm. When she gets him inside, they realize the power is out, so she helps him get settled and starts to leave. Braden keeps texting her about coming back to the dance and gets less and less nice about it each time. She's heading out when Adrian stops her. He tells her that he got drunk that night so he could talk to her. Normally, he gets drunk to stop the effects of spirit from overwhelming him, and tonight he needed a spirit-clear head to talk to her.
Oh, he's so sweet.
I love him.
He asks if she talked Lissa into talking to his dad. Well, she didn't exactly, but yes. But why? She tells him that he didn't deserve any of those terrible things his father said, and that he needs to know that Adrian is good and capable. Well, he apparently thinks he is now because he's given Adrian an allowance and is buying him a car. Then he talks about Braden being a jerk and not gushing over how gorgeous Sydney is and saying she was inaccurately dressed, but she says that's just his way. No, red flag. Then they talk more about spirit and how it makes Adrian lose focus. So Sydney takes off the cross necklace she always wears and gives it to him. They are very close to each other when the power comes back on, shocking them both. Adrian says he doesn't need the cross now because he's got something else to keep him focused. Squeak.
The next day, Jill is upset about Micah. Apparently, they got into a fight about him asking her to meet his family at Thanksgiving. She had to turn him down and made up a bunch of obvious excuses because, she's a vampire. And also because things are moving too quickly for her at 15. But she can't, tell him that she's a vampire. She can't tell him that. She can't.
No.
Don't do it.
No.
Now he doesn't think that she likes him anymore. Eddie tells her to tell him the truth, that things are going too quickly, and if he doesn't understand, then he's not the right guy for her. She leaves to talk to him, but not before complimenting Sydney in the most awkwardly kind of weird, flirty way ever.
Oh, it's so bad.
I love it.
Sydney goes to see Miss Twilliger, who talks to her about the Protective Spells book. She wants Sydney to make one again, and this time she maybe kind of wants to. But what? No, she can't. She can't want to do that, no. She's got a while before the assignment is due, so she'll figure something out. She goes out to return Leah's dresses, not wanting her to get any ideas about Jill modelling for her again, and stops for a coffee on the way back to campus. She's approached by two guys, the same two guys that attacked her and Sonia. They know she's an alchemist. Wow. Yeah. And believe that Sonia is a Strigoi who has somehow fooled everyone into believing she's Maroi. They've been watching her and the apartment she went in. Adrian's.
Oh no.
Sydney plays dumb and they keep talking. They talk a lot.
They do talk a lot.
They can't believe that the alchemists have split so far away from their group. They used to be the same, killing all vampires, but now the alchemists are working for them. They give her a pamphlet and leave. The pamphlet declares that they are called the Warriors of Light. I just love the idea that these kind of like weird sort of religious zealots people who have pamphlets and they're just kind of like handing them out to people.
Yes. I love the pamphlets too. They're like clearly copied from copies of copies of copies, and they're just so terrible.
Slightly skewed, exactly, and it's gone from a coloured paper to a white paper, and qualities all over the place.
I love
it's
it.
Just,
I love it. They're so classy. Sydney and the others meet up at Clarence's to discuss the Warriors of Light. They decide that it is Sonia the Warriors are after, not any of the other Moroi, so they make plans for her to go back to court. Clarence still thinks they're after him, since they followed him years ago and killed his niece, even though it was his son that actually did that. But,
that's awkward.
And he says that a human named Marcus helped to hide him. Sydney decides to track this guy down and plans on calling her alchemist superiors and telling them everything. Before they drop Adrian off and head back to school, Sydney decides to give Sonia some of her blood for testing.
Ooh, that's huge.
Discovering the Unstragoying is very important, especially since Sonia is now leaving them. So Sydney puts her aversions aside and gives her blood. Whoa.
Huge.
Whoa.
When they get to Adrian's to drop him off, Sydney is stunned to see a springtime yellow 67 Mustang convertible parked outside. Adrian reveals that it's his. It's what he bought when his father gave him car money, but he says he can't drive it because it's a stick shift. Sydney, being the car enthusiast that she is, offers to teach him when they drive to Wolf's for their next lesson. Selfless, Sydney. Selfless.
Selfless. It's so selfless of you. Oh my gosh. Back at Amberwood, Angeline says she'll stick closer to Jill to keep her safe, just in case, since they don't really know too much about the Warriors of Light. And Sydney finally cracks down on her assignment from Mr. Williger. Like with giving her blood, she's letting down her aversions to magic use, too. All she has to do is make one spell from the protection spellbook. But which one would be best? Blinding and immobilization certainly would have helped her in the alley attack. They would all be useful in some way, so she decides to make them all. Self-defense is very important lately. Not magic.
Talk about going 0 to 100.
No, I can't believe it.
Speaking of, Sydney and Adrian take the Mustang to Wolf's later. They're meant to be fighting each other off, but Adrian seems to have given up or lost interest in the class. Afterward, Sydney asks him about it. If maybe he has some unwillingness to touch her. Nah, self-defense just isn't his thing. When they get back to his apartment, after she tries to teach him how to drive the Mustang, Sonia is there with important news. All magical elements were discovered in Sydney's blood, and Sonia wants more to study. Nope. No way, no how. Maybe she can ask another alchemist for blood, but hers off the table. Adrian steps up to defend her again, and Sonia dejectedly leaves. Sydney leaving shortly after.
I kind of feel like you probably should have given her some more blood. That's kind of a big deal.
Yeah. I'm of the thought of you've done it once, what's the harm in the second?
Yeah, it's not like she's drinking it.
Well, exactly. It's not like it's hardcore drugs you're taking. It's not. No. It's giving blood for a good cause.
Yeah. Anyway. Sydney goes to the library for a book where she sees Eddie and Jill. They talk about Micah and how Jill is not going to Thanksgiving with him. But then they ask to plan their own Thanksgiving at Clarence's. Jill also swooningly tells Sydney how great and pretty she is and how much fun Adrian has with her in their classes and when they drive the Mustang. As she's leaving the library, obviously perplexed, she runs into Trey, who's still looking beat up. She offers to talk if he needs it, and he tells her and Jill to be careful. Okay, something's going on.
Back in her room, Sydney calls Stanton, her alchemist superior, who tells her she hasn't found out anything about Marcus, the human who helped Clarence, but she does reveal that very few alchemists know about the Warriors of Light, and that they did truly used to be part of the alchemists. She says until now they were only interested in killing Strigoi, so it wasn't really a big deal, but things aren't looking so good anymore. She also tells Sydney that she's very proud of the work she's been doing lately, and that hopefully she'll be able to get her a new position away from them soon. Sydney thanks Stanton, but realises her life would be very lonely without her new friends.
Without the vampires that you love so much.
Yes, them.
Them.
Well, just regular people who, have magical powers and can suck blood.
What? It's fine. They're fine.
Exactly.
The next day, Sydney talks to Eddie. Apparently, he's stopped training Jill, but why? They also talk about how weirdly flirty she's been with her lately.
Super weird. Delightfully so.
So great. Eddie says Sydney gives Jill a lot to look up to, and that he doesn't feel comfortable with physically training her since he likes her so much. Later, before a date to a textile factory with Brayden...
Ooh, be still my beating heart.
Sydney takes Adrian and the Mustang to a shop to get it checked out because Adrian didn't think to do that after buying it. While the mechanic works, they go for a walk and find themselves in a ritzy neighborhood. Adrian compels a gardener to let them in the backyard of one of the mansions, and it's beautiful. Sydney doesn't like his magic use, but appreciates that he did this to make her smile. Then she realizes that they're out in the blazing sun, and Adrian is a vampire. She grabs his hand, feels a tingle, and rushes them back to the mechanic so he can cool down. They're both sweaty and disheveled, and Sydney's got her date to go on. She texts Brayden, who is upset that her family engagement will leave them with only an hour at the textile factory. So she suggests going to dinner instead.
When she arrives at her date, Brayden immediately judges her for her appearance, but she brushes it off again. It's just his way.
Ugh.
They eat and chat about scholarly things and then go to a park where Brayden kisses her. The kiss doesn't feel like anything, and Brayden abruptly pulls away, apologising for kissing her in public. Oh, scandalous.
Oh my!
Public displays of affection offend me. The date ends shortly thereafter because Adrian calls. Sonia's missing.
Sydney rushes to Adrian's. He and Dimitri are worried, trying to figure out where Sonia could have gone, where she would be if she were taken, or if she's even still alive.
Oh no.
Sydney thinks it's all her fault Sonia is gone. It is. If she had just let Sonia take some of her blood the other night, she might not have been taken because they would have still been together. It's then Sydney realizes that, like when she got past her hang-up with giving her blood and doing magic earlier, she needs to do it again. She calls Mr. Williger and asks for help.
Sydney and Adrian go to Mr. Williger's house and ask her about a locating spell. After several hours of preparing the spell and scrying, Sydney sees a clue to where Sonia is. She sees an abandoned warehouse-looking place and a sun, but not the one used on the Warriors of Light's sword. It's a newer version. Remember that sun tattoo Trey has? Yeah, it's that one. She calls Eddie and they confront Trey. He's been missing classes and is constantly beat up because he's a Warrior of Light, but it seems like he's not super comfortable with it. He was one of the guys that attacked Sydney and Sonia, but he likes Sydney so much and even tried to keep her and Jill safe. They try to explain to him that Sonia is no longer Strigoi, but he doesn't believe that, and tells them that Sonia hasn't been killed yet, but they've been battling over who gets to kill her. Yikes. Sydney convinces him to take her to his compound. She is an alchemist after all.
Trey picks Sydney up later. Everyone is worried about her and upset that she won't have any way of protecting herself, but Sydney is not concerned. She believes Trey won't hurt her and other things. He makes her blindfold herself, and they head to the compound. Upon arrival, Sydney is searched. Several warriors empty her purse, but don't find anything too odd inside, apart from a sachet of potpourri. There's also a bracelet and some hand sanitizer. Sydney explains that the potpourri is harmless. It's just a harmless alchemist material, and she made sure to take out all her acids and dangerous stuff before coming. I mean, she's really thoughtful. She also notices a pair of earrings in her purse that she doesn't recognize, but she doesn't mention them. They take her to an arena. The arena of divine radiance of holy gold. Where she...
How pretentious.
This is where she meets the leaders of the warriors and has to watch Trey and his cousin Chris fight for the chance to kill Sonia. Trey almost seems as if he lets his cousin win. They bring Sonia out and finally allow Sydney to speak on her behalf, but the warriors refuse to believe that a Strigoi can be restored, and even if so, it doesn't matter. They're going to deal with all the Moroi eventually, too. As Chris is about to decapitate Sonia, there's an explosion of gunfire, and Dimitri, Eddie, and a ton of other guardians arrive.
Ah, Dimitri, saving the day.
I know, just rolling
So
up in
hot.
his duster. Just, you can see it. It's very cinematic.
He does the superhero, like, jump down onto one knee, and the duster just kind of wafts behind him, and you can see the dust
Yes.
from the arena.
Yes.
It's very
Yes.
cinematic. It's very hot.
All
It's
of
very
this.
hot.
Yeah.
Anywho, there is a lot of confusion, obviously, now. Gee whiz, I wonder why.
Oh, it doesn't have anything to do with the Guardians. Oh.
Well, exactly. I mean, they're rushing the warrior compound, but Dimitri and Eddie get Sonia to safety. Sydney uses the inconspicuous potpourri in her purse, which is actually a blindness charm to escape the warrior leaders. She runs off through the compound and finds a way outside, melting a doorknob with the acid concealed as hand sanitizer. As she's running away into the middle of nowhere, a hand suddenly grabs her shoulder. It's Adrian! He definitely wasn't supposed to come tonight, but he couldn't not help Sydney. He tells her he was able to find her because no one else has an aura like hers, yellow and purple. They run together toward the electrified fence surrounding the compound, and as they begin to climb a section that the Guardians deactivated, they are found by warriors.
Oh, no.
Sydney uses another inconspicuous thing from her purse, the bracelet that, when broken, causes disorientation. Adrian is affected too, but they manage to get away and to his Mustang. He gets her into the passenger side and they drive off, back to Clarence's.
Sydney's pretty upset about everyone else having a plan and not telling her about it, but Dimitri explains that when he talked to Stanton, she told him Sydney would go along with it without question if she were told anyway, because she's a rule follower and a great alchemist. She also gave him the earrings to throw in her purse, which would track her location. She's really bothered that Adrian didn't tell her any of this. She thought she meant more to him and that he would hate lying to her, but he says he believed in her the whole time. Again. Clarence is so excited that everyone finally believes him about the vampire hunters, which reminds Sydney to ask him about Marcus, who, she found out from the warrior leaders, is a disgraced alchemist. He says he's got a picture of him somewhere.
A few days later, Sydney takes Sonia to the airport so she can go back to court. On the way, she asks her what the colours of her aura mean. Yellow is intellectual, and purple is spiritual but passionate. It represents deep love and a desire to seek a higher calling. Well, that kind of just sounds just like Sydney, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Before leaving, Sonia gives her the photograph of Marcus. He has a geometrical indigo tattoo on his face that looks like it's clearly covering a golden alchemist lily. Interesting. She'll have to figure him out. Later, she talks to Jill, who was tricked into being photographed by Leah, and shows Sydney her picture in a magazine. This can't be good.
Mm-mm.
But maybe the magazine is local and Norma Roy will spot it. Hopefully. She also finds out Jill broke up with Micah because it just can't work between them. And now she's kind of has a crush on Eddie. That's no good because Eddie has just decided to give Angeline a chance. Eesh, relationships, man.
At least she didn't break up with Micah because she's in love with Sydney.
I was kind of shipping that.
I know. Sydney runs into Trey after that, and they are still friends, even though all the terrible stuff happened with the Warriors. He and his father have been outcast for bringing her into the compound, and then, the Guardians coming and everything just falling into complete chaos. He gives her her phone, which he's had since they arrived at the compound, and she has a ton of texts from Brayden. I hate this guy.
So big.
She texts him that she lost her phone for a few days and apologizes, and then they plan to meet up, where he breaks up with her for not being ready to be in a relationship and for being so irresponsible.
Really?
If only.
My gosh, he is clueless.
If only he knew.
Clueless.
If only he knew.
After this, Sydney goes to Adrian's. She wants to confront him about being able to drive the Mustang because she finally realised that he drove them away from the compound like he's been driving manual for his entire life. He tells her that he did it to be close to her. And then he kisses her. Sparks and tingles all over the place. But oh no, they can't do this. Sydney can't kiss a vampire. It's wrong. She explains to him that her golden lily means something to her. Being an alchemist is important to her. The things the alchemists believe in are important to her too. Plus, isn't he in love with Rose? He tells her no, he hasn't thought about her in a long time. Sydney is who he thinks about before falling asleep. Sydney makes him want to be a better man, and not just to impress her, but because he genuinely wants to be better. She can't handle it though, and leaves. End of book 2. Oh my god. Cliffhanger.
Oh man. So good.
He's a big cutie, isn't he?
Yes, I love him so much. Can we take a break? Can we take a break for a minute
Yes.
so I can compose
I
myself?
think you really need to, put yourself back together. While Amanda is busy squeeing, let's hear about another podcast, shall we?
Hi there, I'm Volley, one of the hosts of the Reading Queens podcast. If you love books, fandom discussions, and having a good time, join your new internet friends as we take on such topics and more. Hosted by a group of published authors, Reading Queens is a podcast for every book lover. Every week, we get together to blab about our favorite books, why we love them, and the book boyfriends we wish were real. You can find the episodes on Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and other platforms, with a new episode launching every Wednesday. Thanks. Now back to the show.
The break didn't help.
She's been doing it the entire time. Send help.
I love him so much.
I will admit this one, Adrian has started to become a sweet, sweet cutie boy and his own in-depth character. Because he had a lot of screen time. And he was ridiculously cute towards Sydney. And very obvious in his affection. But in a cute way.
Adrian! I love him so much.
He's a big cutie pie.
He is. I'm glad you finally have, come over to the correct side. You finally realized that he...
Adrian's still the hot one for me. Adrian is my vampire. Well, Dampier. But I understand now.
Listen to what you just said. Everyone, please pay close attention to the mistake that Claire just made.
I always say vampire with Dimitri because.
But no, you didn't even say Dimitri. You said Adrian.
Did I?
Yeah, you love Adrian. Deal with it. You love him. You love him. You're in love with him. Deal with it.
Fair enough. Whatever.
Okay, so I'm sorry. What were you saying about Adrian? I mean Dimitri.
Anymore.
That you actually still love Dimitri?
Dimitri is my Dampier. Adrian is a big sweetie, and I get it from this one why yourself and other people squee about him, because he is a big puddle of romantic goo.
He's squee-worthy.
He is squee-worthy. He's doing all the right things. He's saying all the right things. And, he's trying to build that romance and affection, but within her boundaries. And that's swoon-worthy. So I completely get it based on this. Why? Because, he's a big cutie. He's a big sweetie. He's very respectful of Sydney. And, it is sweet. It really, really is sweet. And he's so bloody obvious with it. And Sydney's so bloody blind to it.
She is. Ugh. Ugh. I love when they kissed, though, at the end. But then she's like, no, I can't do it. I can't kiss you. No. But dude.
And she's pulling him towards her again. You can imagine that tug of war. She's got hold of his shirt and she's like, I can't do it again, but I'm not letting go.
Yeah. And she mentioned the entire time, anytime she's with Brayden, and Brayden's her first, quote, boyfriend, and it's her first, physical contact that she's had with another human being, and she's like, this is what holding hands is. It's just our fingers are touching. This is what a kiss is. It's just our lips smushed together. This isn't anything. But then every time she touches Adrian, she gets swoony and tingly and
sparks and tingles. Sparks and tingles.
Sparks and tingles.
Exactly. Do you know what though? The thing is with Sydney, it's not as if she'll have seen an affectionate relationship with her parents. Her dad's an absolute douche.
Yeah.
And her mum sounds lovely, and she's the emotional core of that family unit. But it's not as if they've been role models in that.
Yeah.
So she's not gonna. I don't think she'll actually recognise. This is probably why she's struggling with this whole relationship dating thing. It's that she doesn't recognise the signs of when people have affection towards you.
Yeah, because that's not what an alchemist is. An alchemist isn't affectionate. An alchemist is scientific and straightforward and strictly business all the time.
It doesn't make you wonder how our mother and father got together. What's their story?
It's forced. Just close them in a room together until they make babies.
That sounds awful.
We leave them in here long enough. They'll have a baby eventually. And they have several. They have three. They have 3 children. There's 3 girls.
Yeah. I mean, was there some kind of strategic advantage to him, marrying a mechanic? I don't know. But yeah, I mean, to be fair, my reasoning is Sydney doesn't understand the science because she's never had the role models sufficient to be able to do that. It's like, I doubt she's ever watched this, like, you know, TV hasn't acted as a role model to her, because I doubt she's ever watched TV. I can't imagine her father having a television or letting them go to the movies while they were growing up, because they were distracted from the learning and the education.
Yeah, and you
must learn 17 million different languages and algebra by age 4.
Right, and you know she wasn't allowed to read fiction. I'm sure she was always reading nonfiction books, which there's nothing wrong with reading nonfiction, but it's clearly not as saucy.
Definitely not saucy.
So
I really want to get like some bodice rippers for Sydney. I think she'd quite appreciate that.
Yeah.
Not the historical accuracy of it, but yeah, I think she'd quite appreciate it.
Yeah, she might. Or she might get squeezed out by it.
Well, you know what? She needs some vampire romance fiction then. You know? That'll desensitize herself to it.
Oh my god. Yeah, she does.
Librarian, recommend some books to her.
Here you go. Here's a giant stack. Also, be sure to listen to these episodes of Fictional Hangover Podcast. Oh, man.
Education. Oh, we're very educational.
We are. We are so educational. We can tell her the hottest vampires, all of them. All of the hot, sexy vampires.
The hot, sexy vampires are Adrian, and if you want vampires, Dimitri. The end.
That's the end of the list.
Well, there are others, but it's probably not appropriate to talk about them in the Vampire Academy.
That's true. That's true. Oh man, I just love them. I love that things are finally starting to happen. They're finally starting to happen with Adrian. I love him so much. But aside from that, can I just tell you how much that I love when Angeline beats up the motivational speakers? Oh, I love Angeline and everything that she does in this book. She's just comic relief in the background, wearing her short shorts with her boobs out.
With a butter knife. A butter knife.
I love her so much. Oh, I love her so much. I'm crying, but she's just doing whatever she feels like in the background. But then when Sydney tells her, like, look, stop flirting with Eddie. You're creeping him out. Stop it. Then she, like, immediately straightens up after that. She realizes, oh my God, you know, that's what we do. That's what we do in the Keepers. Like, we aggressively like people when we like them. But that's not what you're supposed to do. That's not what you're supposed to do.
She does need to take a hard lesson in the fact that you're not around the Keepers anymore. It's not good to love thy cousin in that way. You know?
I love also when Mike is like, why are you guys talking about going to the dance together? And she's like, what? There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with going to the dance with your cousin. It's fine.
Oh, it's so painful. Well, I mean, to be fair, that's the culture that she's from. But it's like, oh, not good.
Oh, no.
It's not good. It's not good. I don't know how I feel about Angeline and Eddie though together, but better than Eddie and Jill. Because Eddie, we've already established, is the same age as what Lee was pretending to be, like an 18, 19-year-old, and she's still 15. That's still bloody awkward and wrong, and don't do it.
Yeah, I'm just glad that she and Micah finally broke up, because, I mean, Micah's the same, roundabouts the same age. 18, he's a senior.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. But the thing is with the Micah character as well, he was a non-event. He wasn't in this book, like, at all. He was in this first one a little bit, and the only reason Eddie endorsed him was because he looked like Mason.
yeah.
And that's really poor reason to endorse somebody. I mean, yes, okay, he was nice, he was kind to Jill, but yeah, he's friend material and needs to be kept in the friend zone.
Yeah. Jill just needs to... She needs to grow up a little bit.
She really does.
I mean, it's...
She really
It's
does.
fine that she's a 15-year-old and she has crushes on all these older boys. That's fine, but let's not take it any further than that.
No, I actually get very uncomfortable with the Jill crush bits. Like, it's funny when she's flirting with...
I was about to say, except for when
because of
it's
the
with
bond.
Sydney.
That's
Except for when it's Sydney.
hilarious. That's the best thing ever. That's like the greatest moments. Because you know it's Adrian's in the bond, and that's why it's precious.
But, like, why doesn't Sydney realize that?
Because Sydney's oblivious to these things. And it's like, for such a smart girl, she misses a lot.
Yeah, she does. Like, Eddie, why is Jill flirting with me so much? What is happening? Like, oh, she just respects you as a human. Like, no!
I mean, I
It's
can
not what's
understand
happening.
Eddie's oblivious nature to it.
Yeah.
He's not going to realise what the heck's going on, but yeah. Like,
Come
on,
on.
man. Come on. Oh, Sydney, that boring beige dress of yours looks beautiful with your eyes.
I know,
Really?
I love that. Like, she wears the most boring stuff, and Jill is just gushing over it. And they make such a big to-do about her not wearing colors, and she's always so bland, and that's just how alchemists are. And, you know, when she goes out on her date with Brayden, like, her friends are trying to get her to wear some color, and she's like, I'm wearing yellow. No, that does not count as a color. This pale yellow that's basically khaki does not count. Oh, but I like it. It's yellow. Like, no, it's nothing. And then later
I'd
on...
be very daring. I'm wearing yellow.
No.
It's so daring.
And then later on, just like, oh, that tan shirt you're wearing is so great. Stop it.
I felt so sorry for Sydney though when she was going on her first date, and like Eddie is sitting in the reception of Amberwood waiting to meet Brayden, and she's got Angeline and Jill traipsing down behind her as well, trying to offer her quote unquote advice. It's like, flipping hell, just stop it. Just stop it. Just let things happen as they happen. Ugh.
Ugh.
Because none of them have got any experience in this at all.
No.
It's literally magazine education, and even then, I mean, come on.
I mean, if you're gonna listen to anyone, listen to Kristen and Julia, because they've dated boys.
Exactly.
They've been around other teenage boys. Listen to what they
Exactly.
have to say.
Exactly. It's so funny.
Oh, it is. It's just so awkward in the best way. Everything
And I
about
love
it.
it when Adrian's like, what's his name? Brandon? Billy? Or Hayden? Or...
Brandon? What is it? It's just nothing. And then he's just a non-event. He's nothing. That's...
Oh my god.
And
Let's
then...
go to the wind farm.
Yeah, what? And then, doesn't Jill say that too? Like, they always... Yeah, Sydney asks why they always call him the boyfriend. I'm like, well, it's because we don't know his name, because we don't care, because he's nothing.
Yeah.
He's nothing. He is a piece of white bread.
Unbuttered.
Unbuttered bread. He's nothing.
He doesn't even have the crusts. At least the crusts would add some interest level to it, you know.
No.
It's just...
He's nothing.
He is? He is?
Ugh. But he's out of the picture now. Finally.
Oh, thank goodness. But Brayden annoyed the hell out of me. Because, I mean, apart from him being, you know, beige is beige, or the most vanilla of person, basically just pick something boring and that's him. But the fact he called, and I know Sydney liked being called irresponsible. I know she liked it because she thought it was hilarious.
Yes.
He calls her irresponsible, but he can see that she's obviously, you know, the head, the essential head of the family, and it's quite an extensive family. at Amberwood in Palm Springs, and she's having to go off and deal with emergencies and find out what's going on. She is being the responsible person in the family, and for him to turn around and call her irresponsible, it's like, how oblivious are you to the entire situation without knowing the actual, damping in Baroy, the whole situation that's going on in the background, without knowing all of that, to still call her irresponsible? It's like, yes, an irresponsible person is going to take their brother, quote unquote, home to make sure he's fine when he's drunk. An irresponsible person's not going to be the one who drives a relative to an appointment. And a responsible person's not going to be there to, make sure that everybody's fine and they're staying in school. And really, how blind is he?
He's the worst. He's the worst. I hate him.
And when he was texting her, and when he was still at the party, and I was like, just go home, mate. Just go home. Just send a message saying, you know what? You're obviously dealing with family stuff right now. We'll arrange another date. I hope everything goes fine.
Yeah.
Leave it there.
Yeah. But instead...
Screaming.
Yeah. Are you coming back? When are you coming back? When are you coming back in your historically inaccurate red dress? When are you coming back? Like, ugh.
Yeah, mate, because yours is so historically accurate as well. Fuck off.
Yeah, I hate him. I hate him.
Honestly.
That was one of my surprises. That no one,
Really?
punched him in the back of his head.
I would have punched him.
Because he needs to be punched.
Well, I might not have punched him, but I probably would have low flying pigeoned him.
Just something. He needs something.
Low flying pigeon is just a slap to the back of the head.
I like that. He needs it. He needs a pigeon to the head.
He does.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Hate him.
So
Hate him.
Braden gets a pigeon to the head.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Adrian gets mushy hugs and kisses.
Yes.
Jill, keep away from everybody else and, grow up a little bit.
Yes.
Angeline, move away from the butter knife. Back away
Yes.
from the butter knife.
And back away from your cousin.
Yeah.
I really feel like Angeline and Trey need to be a thing. And, can I just say
Yes.
I don't remember if they get together later in the series. I'm pretty sure they probably do. But it needs to happen. It needs to happen right now.
It does. I ship that. I ship that hard.
Yeah.
He needs to loosen up. And Angeline needs to grow up. And
Yes.
realise what the world's like.
Yes.
No, I'm with you there. I'm with you there.
Oh, I gotta go back. Gotta go back to some more standout moments. Like, I really like Sydney when she's like, no, I will never use magic. It's terrible. And then she literally makes all the charms.
Yeah.
And carries them with her and uses them all. And it's fantastic. And I also like that she has acid in her hand sanitizer bottle.
But you see, I found that very dangerous. It's like, I'm going to put my hand in my bag and get my hand sanitizer out. Ah!
But she knows because she's so, meticulous in everything that she does. So she knows. Don't use that hand sanitizer because it's actually acid. Use this one.
Accidents happen this way, though. Accidents happen. Like, Jill is going to just go into her purse and pick out the hand sanitizer and, a couple of dollops. Sorted. No hands.
Yeah.
Well, it's more likely Angeline, to be fair. But, yeah. That's going to happen.
Well, it's a good thing that she used it all on the doorknob.
That's true.
So we don't really have to worry about it anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad that city's starting to be a bit more desensitized to the whole magic thing, because personally it doesn't make I mean, to be fair, I wasn't brought in that, confined, zealous culture of, magic's bad.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that she's starting to branch out and realise maybe not everything is bad. It's like in other books that we've read, if somebody gets turned into a vampire, they're bad. No, it's the person that makes something good or bad.
Yeah.
So magic used by a garbage person is going to be bad magic.
Yeah.
Magic used by a nice person is going to be nice magic.
Yeah. I like that Mr.
The magic
Williger
doesn't dictate the person.
I like that Mr. Williger tells her that too. Like, yeah, I understand magic can be bad if you're a garbage person. Pretty sure that's a direct quote from the text.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah. So I'm glad. I'm the same. I'm very glad that is explained.
yeah, yeah.
I'll tell you the things that annoyed me.
Oh.
Jill falling for the designer
Oh my gosh, I know.
trick.
Just keep this dress, and oh, you'd look so cute in this hat that I just happened to have brought with me, and oh, here's this scarf that I just happened to have brought with me, and here's my camera that I just happened to have brought with me. Come on, dude. But she's 15, and she's dumb.
Which is exactly why we're saying Jill needs to concentrate on growing up for a little while. Because it's just that, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm glad that the vampire hunter thing came out now as well in book 2. And obviously it's something that's going to carry on for a little bit because they're established bad guys now. But I'm glad Trey was hinted at in the first one, very obviously so for us. But it's out in the open that Trey is a vampire hunter, a reluctant vampire hunter by all accounts. But we now know their situation. We're very aware of them. Everybody's aware of them. So it's not this long drawn out thing. Because sometimes, that can get a little bit much. Like it could last till the 3rd or 4th book. And can we move it along a little bit? So I'm really glad that's out now and that's in the open. I mean, the whole gladiatorial arena thing and the way they're just absolute garbage people who are, they're photocopied leaflets. Oh my god.
I know. I hate it. I hate their photocopied leaflets. Oh my god. Oh.
Just imagine them on street corners handing out flyers. Like, oh, come to our meeting. We're going to, beat up each other and then there's going to be a beheading. Yay!
Yeah! Oh, do you know what I do love about the Warriors, though? The arena.
How easily they're punched.
Yes, that too. But the arena of divine radiance of holy gold. What? It's terrible.
Dial it down.
Terrible.
Dial it down.
Terrible. Oh.
I am interested to find out whether or not I don't know if you'll remember them, but Stanton, so Sydney's boss, effectively. I'm interested to know what happens with her, because I wouldn't be surprised if there's a spot visit and Stanton's like, you're fraternising with the vampires, there's going to be some re-education there. I can imagine that happening. And obviously Marcus is going to be interesting. She's covering her face, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. She's covering her face. Marcus is obviously going to make an appearance, and quite likely the next book, with it being called Indigo Spell, and he has an indigo tattoo covering his gold tattoo. So that feels fairly obvious. You can blink yes or no for that one. I'm taking that as a yes. So that's fairly obvious thing that's going to happen. But yeah, I'm thinking there's going to have to be some kind of alchemist visit to Palm Springs to find out what's going on. And obviously there's going to be knock-on effect with that magazine what Jill was in. So we've got 2 things going on there. And the Warriors of Stupid. God, this is so stupid. They're like a comedy act. They're like a dangerous comedy act because they've got swords and they're willing to use them, but they're idiots.
They're so dumb. Oh, they're so dumb. It's terrible.
It's like they're like the Three Stooges of the vampire world.
Yeah.
Led by Pee Wee Herman.
And then Dimitri swoops in his duster and punches them in the face, and they're like, whoa, 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 and the sword goes flying through the air, and...
Yes. One of them lands right between the legs.
Yes.
Somebody's put on the bus, and the legs
and it goes boing.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. Somehow somebody gets a pie to the face. Nobody knows how this happens, but it happens.
Yeah.
So, yeah. The Warriors of Stupid are the Three Stooges of this world. So that's going to happen. I'm kind of wondering, is there going to be something more with Adrian's dad? The mum's a bit of a loose thread still. We do need to find out what happens with Daniela.
She's in prison. She's just wasting away in prison.
She is, but she's a huge thing with Adrian. Like, he wants to talk to his mum. So is he going to talk to his mum? I need to know this. I want to know this, and I would like to think it never happens. I mean, to be fair, she did, help try and stage a coup. It's a bit awkward, that, really, isn't it?
Yeah. She bribed some people.
The other thing I want to know is, Braden, or whatever the heck the boring vanilla guy is, wanted to take Sydney to a date to a cafe where he purposefully mentions, and we know what Rochelle Mead's like, with putting these little tidbits that definitely come back, where there's a local artist being displayed. The artist is Adrian. I'll bet my hat that I'm currently wearing that it's Adrian. And if it's never found out, if it doesn't get ever addressed again in the rest of the series, I'm going with that I'm right.
Okay. It's fine. That's fine. That's fine. So, who is your favorite character?
Braden, of course. No, not all. Probably Miss Twilliger again.
Yeah, she's pretty great. She's still got some gems. She's got some gems in there.
She's very wise.
Yeah, she is.
I do like her. I think as well, her love of coffee helps. Like, same with Sydney. I can relate.
Yes. Yes. I
would like to meet more of our coven, though.
Yeah. I think in this one, it's a toss-up. It's a toss-up for me between awkward Jill and, like, Angeline pratfalling in the background and punching people. They were both so great. They brought so much joy to the book.
Why can't I date my cousin? Actually, it's all right.
These shorts are too long. Where's my butter knife?
Angeline, it's a thong. You're wearing a thong.
But like, she's got banging legs because she's super strong. Like, I can imagine her growing up, like, pulling a yoke with the oxen or something. She's, like, working on the farm. So she's got banging legs. She needs to wear the shortest shorts possible.
I can imagine she's hot. I really can. But then she talks. She's the Stevie Ray of this series,
She is.
Complete, like, whoa,
yeah.
Stunning. All curves, what was Jill is more of a couture model. Mm-hmm. Angeline would be Victoria's Secret.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's that's kind of the chalk and cheese images that's in my head.
Yeah. But then she opens her mouth and goes, yeah.
That's why she's made for photography and not radio. I do like Angeline, actually. I really do like Angeline.
She's good.
Never a dull moment with her.
Nope.
Frustration, yes. But not dull.
Yeah. Is there anything else? Is there anything else we need to talk about before it's time?
I think did we cover surprises?
Well, I mean, I said a long, long time ago that I was surprised that no one punched Braden in the head. And then you said you wanted him to get
low-flying pigeon.
Low-flying pigeon.
I think my big surprise was the fact it took Sydney so long to realise that Adrian could drive stick.
Well, she had some other stuff going on.
She had the desire to drive that stick herself, and that sounded a lot more pornographic than I intended it to. She kind of does that, doesn't she?
Yeah, she kind of does. She might not quite realize it yet, but she totally does.
She totally does.
She totally Yeah. It's not...
Say it, you know you want to.
I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to continue talking about the book as if I don't want to say really inappropriate things in my head. But it's totally obvious that Adrian bought that car for her. Come on.
Oh, God, yes.
Come on, man.
Totally. Completely. Why would you want to drive a latte when you have a Mustang?
Especially a 67 Mustang. Bright yellow.
Mint condition.
Yes. Like...
Bet that thing purrs.
Yeah.
And then growls.
Yes.
Do you know, all he needs to say to Sydney is, road trip, you can drive. She's there.
Yep. Yep. She's there. It's only book 2, though. We've got 4 more to go.
4 more books of their road trip,
Yes.
where they become closer and realise that they can be together.
Yes.
Yay.
4 more books of driving stick.
All the stick, all the time.
So, is it time?
It's definitely time. Probably about 5 minutes late.
Oh, pew, pew. Would you rather? Woo.
Oh, so, Amanda, picture it.
Okay.
You're going on a date. Oh, the guy is tall, intelligent, beige. And you're going on a date to a wind farm or a textile factory. Oh, yeah. And not only that, but you get all the condescension from him.
Oh, yes. Oh, is he going to
He's
judge
going
me?
to judge you and belittle your appearance. He's going to fight your intelligence
Oh, yes.
all the way.
Is
And
he
if
going
you're
to...
lucky,
If I'm lucky,
hold
what?
your hand.
Oh.
So let's find out where social media is going on their date. On Facebook, 50-50 between the wind farm and the textile factory. Quite happy with either. In Instagram, they're going to a textile factory with 65%. The wind farm got 35%. And on Twitter, same. They're going to the textile factory with 67% and the wind farm got 33%. On TikTok, they got 75% for the textile factory and 25% for the wind farm.
Look at...
So yeah, we're going for textile.
We're going to the textile factory.
Yeah. They might have polyester
Ooh.
or nylon.
Ooh. I hope they have rough, spun cotton. Do we have any comments? Jesus Christ, we need to stop.
Gosh, yes. Colin on Facebook said, "Oh, wow, 2 wonderful romantic dates that would make my underwear just fly off. I think I'll go textile factory because there's at least a chance of a storeroom full of nice soft material for date-related shenanigans."
There's no date-related shenanigans happening at the textile factory, I'm sorry to say.
No. Not even a handshake.
Coral on Facebook says, I can't with either one of these dates, but I guess I would have to go with the textile factory. You never know, you might get samples of yarn to strangle your date with.
That is the perfect response, Carl.
I love that she knows that you just gotta strangle this guy and get it over with.
Yeah. Crystal on Facebook said, "Maybe I'm a nerd, but I think a textile factory date sounds cool, mostly because I've never really seen the behind the scenes of one. It kind of reminds me of the picture movies that used to play on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, where they take you to factories and all sorts."
That's probably about as romantic as it would be, too.
Yeah. I mean, you can watch a documentary about these things.
can.
I've seen them on the kids' programs.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I don't need to go.
Dakota
Anywho.
Dakota on Facebook said, "Wind farm. Then I wouldn't have to hear his boring conversation. It would be too loud." See, Dakota knows what's up too.
That's true. You see, I think a textile factory would be quite loud as well with all the machinery.
Yeah. It's not like just grandma's knitting in the corner, which would that's too saucy of a date. You got to save that one.
The grandmas are crocheting those patchwork blankets. Oh yeah. Breetart on Instagram said, despite Wind Farm having nicer scenery, I have to say Textile Factory because that sounds informational and fun. So many shiny machines moving all the time, making fabric with prints or patterns, or it's like going to Joanne's and watching the embroidery machine demos. But huge.
We know that we need to take Breetart to the Textile Factory.
Yeah. And we can get gelato afterwards.
L20 Kev on Instagram says, Jesus. Nerves from a first date make some people gassy. So if you go to a wind farm, you can have them stand upwind and you won't get caught. If the date is going bad, you can always get them to swap places and stand downwind.
Is this 3 weeks in a row that L20 Kev has done some kind of bottom-related response?
I hope it never stops.
It's so wrong to write the questions to get these answers.
I just appreciate his creativity.
Oh, yeah.
Same as with Constance, though.
Experience.
It's right, yes, but it's the same as with Constance because it's almost like a challenge. You know, L20 Kev is just going to keep mentioning poop or you know, other assorted bottom things. And Constance is still singing her songs in every comment. And I love it.
Is it wrong? I actually can't remember the tune that this goes to.
Just a fool to believe. Just a fool to believe. It's going in the background too. I have anything she needs. She's like the wind. You clearly need to watch Dirty Dancing again, if you haven't watched it lately.
It's been a while. It has been a while. But we know, it's an established fact, my music knowledge is just non-existent.
I just wish I could actually, you know, properly sing instead of me butchering all of these fantastic songs that she sings to us every week.
Well, you know, you can only have so many talents.
Singing is not one of them.
It's better than mine. I shouldn't even be allowed to sing in the shower, but that's by the by. Last comment, Crinoline Lefroy on Instagram said, Textile Mill, because I'm a stylish vampire and need to pick out fabrics for next season.
I love it. She is a fashionable, stylish vampire.
She really is.
She really, really
Who
is.
can conquer?
She can do so many things.
Where are you going? Are you going to the wind farm or are you going to the textile factory?
I mean, I think I'm going to go to the textile factory, but just like the hopes that there are samples and I can get some samples.
Exit through the gift shop?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The wind farm would actually be pretty cool, though, because, like, you see them driving down the road if you live in the United States and you have recently driven across the country, like I have. You see them off to the side of the road. They're like these huge windmills, and, like, they're huge. And how big are they if you're standing at the bottom looking up?
You have to get an elevator to go in them. There's an elevator that takes you up to the top.
I don't want to go to the top. I want to look at them from the safety of the ground.
Yeah. We have a wind farm close to where I live. It powers one of the factories. There's like 6 turbines. I've seen bigger ones, obviously. See, I remember a school trip, obviously years ago, and it was to like a power plant. I think it was a nuclear power plant. And they were very interesting. It was a very interesting like school trip. But it's not a date trip. I mean, the scenery would be nice and all, but if it's if it's too windy, the turbines don't go. I think I'm not interested in the engineering side enough. Like, it's a been there, done that situation for me. I don't need to go back to renewable energy. That's it.
Okay.
No, thank you. You're boring me now. Yeah. So probably the textiles.
Okay.
Because I have access to a sewing machine. I do know how to sew. So I could get some samples.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to see the fabrics being created. I could just stare at that. It's kind of like,
watching the
AMS Arbor for eyes.
Yeah, it's like watching a cookie being decorated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sense of satisfaction as the pattern is made. So yeah, let's go to the textile factory.
All right, we can go together.
Yeah, cool. It's a date.
Okay.
We'll get gelato afterwards.
Next question, gelato or slushy?
Oh, no.
I know. That's literally the next question. It really is. We're not just making it up. I mean, we did make it up, but you know what I mean. Which one do you choose?
Depends on the situation.
No situation,
I like
just
to
choice. Just whatever you want your situation to be.
No, this is situational for me because I like a slushy when I go bowling. And I like a slushy now and again at the cinema if it's a particularly hot day. But then I don't mind a gelato. There's probably actually less sugar in a gelato than there is in a slushy. And I've really got a fancier slushy, as a gelato is probably more accessible. With a greater variety of flavours to choose from.
Yeah.
What about you?
I mean, really, I'm going to pick a slushy, but just because that's really close to a snow cone. They're similar. And I really want a snow cone. And I haven't had one since I've been back to Arkansas, and that's a thing. They're a thing here. They were not a thing in Seattle. And I'm so upset with myself that I haven't had a snow cone yet. So I'm going to go with slushy just to pretend.
You need to have a snow cone by the end of the week.
I know. I really do.
Set yourself that goal. That's your challenge.
Yeah. I need a snow cone.
And it's a nice challenge.
It is. It's delicious.
Exactly. To get ones that change your tongue a different colour, get blue ones and stuff.
Now, see, my favorite snow cone ever it's called a Silver Fox, and it's almond flavored. There might be some coconut in too, but it's...
Ooh, interesting.
So it's just like... It just looks like ice. It doesn't have a colour.
I've had snow cones before. They're not a thing really over where I live, but I have had them before, and I think I had like a lemon one. Very nice. I like the tang. I love like a really cold tang. It was almost like a lemonade, really.
Yeah. Gotta have a snow cone.
Nice.
Maybe I can go get one after we get finished recording today.
Well, let's get through these.
I know. My God, hurry up.
Would you rather learn physical self-defense or magical self-defense? Magical.
That's a tough question. Because I've always, for the past 15 years, I've wanted to learn Krav Maga. I want to learn that self-defense where I can also just beat the shit out of someone and run. But magic, magic. You gotta...
Yeah.
It's magic. You can't not want to learn magic.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you there. Yeah. Can I learn magical defense and then do physical self-defense later?
Yes. Can we do both? Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Okay, done.
You're so right. If magic is an option, you pick magic.
You have to pick magic. You have to. It's magic.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of magical self-defense, would you rather use the potpourri blindness charm, the bracelet disorientation charm, or the acid hand sanitizer.
Now, as fun as I think the acid hand sanitizer would be, I would be worried that I would, accidentally use it, as we have already discussed.
Yeah.
The blindness charm feels really harsh. But I suppose it does depend. It's self-defense, so that's, a thing. That you can't really have moral qualms about making somebody temporarily blind to be able to get away from the attack.
Yeah.
But I think I'm going to go with bracelet disorientation charm. I quite like that one. It felt like it had potentially a wider effect. So if you're being attacked by multiple bad guys, you could probably hit 2 or 3. Whereas I think the potpourri blindness charm would have more of a limited effect.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with the bracelet.
Yeah, I think it's probably got a smaller, range. But the bracelet, she had to break the bracelet into pieces. And so does it disorient you if, you throw the piece of the bracelet and you're in the range of the piece? Is that how it works? We're not really sure on the specifics of it.
No. We need Miss Twilliger, so if you can get in touch with us and teach us some magic, that would be
Yeah, we would really appreciate it. I think I'm gonna. It's such a hard choice. I keep thinking I wanna do the blindness charm, but then I think potpourri, does it have a smell? Because I have a weird thing with smells. So
potpourri can be awful.
Yeah.
Potpourri kind of is an old person smell to me.
Yeah. So maybe I should just go with the bracelet as well.
I kind of like the idea. I mean, I will, as much as I'm saying that hand sanitizer is a bad idea because accidents happen. Imagine you're in a coffee shop or somewhere and 2 men sit down at your table, give you a really shitty pamphlet that's been photocopied a million times, and it's on that horrible yellow paper where you can't really see the print very well.
Yeah.
It's cheap. It's cheap paper as well.
Yeah.
And they just start talking about, being warriors of the stupid. And you're like, right, okay, well, we're in pandemic times. Before I shake your hand, let's hand sanitize. Squidge, maniacal laughter as I run away.
Yes. Yeah, because whenever anyone gets out hand sanitizer, they're always going to offer it to you, and you're probably always going to accept it because it's just a thing. It's just a thing that you do now. Hand sanitizer? Yes, please. You scream as your hand melts off. Yeah, that'd be really good. Yeah, that'd be really, really good. It's good. Good times.
Last question. Would you rather be a warrior of light or an alchemist, but the kind that strictly follows all the rules?
As much as I like the Warriors of Light and their golden arena of godliness or whatever this stupid fuck it is, I think I'm gonna go with an alchemist because they have acid hand sanitizer. Because they carry those things. They dissolve strigoi, so they've got these cool things that they have. So I'm gonna go with an alchemist.
Yeah, I'm gonna go alchemist as well. The warriors of light are too disordered. I mean, on the other end of the spectrum, the alchemists are completely beige and possibly too much to the letter of their law. But there seems to be a bit more diversity. Plus, they're not out killing people randomly. They're they're not working for the Moroi. They're working with the Moroi distinction. But they're on, technically the side of good, whereas the Warrior of Light are out to kill anyone.
They just seem like extremists.
They are.
And
I'm not cool with that.
I don't want to get involved with that mess.
No, and I would have to redo all of their pamphlets.
I know.
I just couldn't.
I know.
I just couldn't.
Yeah, I couldn't handle that.
I bet the Alchemists have got very strict scanning and photocopying rules.
Yes.
Like there's an entire handbook.
Yes, and they have...
Which you're not allowed to download because it changes so often.
Right. And they have, like, whenever they print them out, they're glossy, professionally printed, tri-fold brochures.
And it's the ones that smell really nice as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's on the luxury, good-smelling paper.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're going to be alchemists just for the paper, I think.
The stationery has sold it for me.
Yes, definitely.
I absolutely love how our would you rather questions are either hideous or go ludicrous.
Okay. Favorite final thought quote. What do you have? Do you have a million? Because I have a million.
No, I only have 4. I was listening to it and I bookmarked and I put a little note on that said quote. And just deleted it.
Oh,
You know when you just do the swipe delete, and I was like, get rid of them, swipe delete, and then I did it and I was like,
Oh no. Oh no.
I was gutted. Trying to remember what I'd selected. By the by, funny story. I have 4.
Okay.
First one. It'd be nice to have someone who understood some of the things that went on in my head. Truth universally accepted.
Yes.
Number 2. My commentary's hilarious, not witty. Which, for me, feels like it encompasses my part of fictional hangover. Shrug. Next. But never, ever had I been called irresponsible. I kind of liked it. Sydney.
Oh.
And the last one comes with #mylife. God, I feel so stupid. Depends how you say it as well.
Yeah.
You know, you can put different tone and intonations.
Yeah.
Emphasis. What have you got?
Those were good choices.
Thank you.
Okay. There's one that I just enjoy because it's me, myself, as a person with diabetes. And there's like so much like body shaming stuff going on with Sydney, and she feels fat because she wears a size 4 and all of that. It's terrible, and she chooses sugar-free options because she doesn't want to get fat. But I like that it's like in that very, very beginning, and she's turning down a soda, and Sonia says, "Oh, are you diabetic?" No, I just choose to drink diet soda. But that doesn't have anything to do with anything. I just appreciated the fact that diabetes was mentioned in a book.
Yeah.
Now, here's my real ones, because that one doesn't count. Nice blouse, Sage. Really brings out the khaki in your pants. What was the correct procedure here? Was he supposed to kiss me? Was I supposed to let him? Had that been the real price of my salad? Bless her, she just doesn't know. She doesn't know about dates.
No.
Is that the real price of my salad?
It's a cute ignorance as well.
I love it. Is that the real price of my salad? Isn't Dimitri hot? Adrian's response hadn't been entirely unexpected. Well, yeah, according to most women at least. She's talking about him wearing a coat in the desert. Come on.
It's a duster and he looks hot. And it's very dramatic. I mean, come on.
It is the most dramatic thing anyone could wear. He's so hot. Loyalty to one's kind can only go so far. It's true.
Good one.
It's true. And finally, None of us are meant to be or do anything, he said. We decide what we're going to be.
Yes. Yes. I love that one. I was going to go with that one as well, but I had a feeling.
Adrian, I love him so much. Okay. If you liked this, try this. What can we even possibly suggest anymore? I mean, my gosh.
I went with awkward dating, will there, won't there, boarding school kind of thing with magic.
Good choice.
And I went with Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. It's a very good book.
I'm surprised we haven't done any of her books yet. She's got some great books.
She has a lot of great books and graphic novels. I think we're going to have to get them in there somewhere. We'll have to do the Simon Snow trilogy. It will happen.
Yeah.
We'll get it in there. And I know who we can have on as a guest for Would You Rather. Annie. She loves these books.
She also loves Adrian as much as I do.
She does, but I can't help but feel that the Vampire Academy and Bloodlines is like just for us.
Yeah.
And then we share it on the book club.
It's true.
That might be selfish of me to say that.
It's fine.
But yeah.
It's fine. We can invite Annie to come any and every other time.
Yeah, oh gosh, yeah. So, the summary as from Goodreads. Simon Snow is the worst chosen one who's ever been chosen. That's what his roommate Baz says, and Baz might be evil and a vampire and a complete git, but he's probably right. Half the time Simon can't even make his wand work, and the other half he starts something on fire. His mentor's avoiding him, his girlfriend broke up with him, and there's a magic-eating monster running around wearing Simon's face. Baz would be having a field day with all this if he were, here. That's the last year at Watford School of Magics, and Simon's infuriating nemesis didn't even bother to show up.
Oh, man.
Happens, and it's so good, and it's cute. And there's a obliviousness between them, which reminds me of Steve with Adrian. And I'm like, oh. What have you got?
I am going to recommend the Lux series by Jennifer L. Armentrout, starting with Obsidian, book 1. Her books are great. All of them. All of them are great. So, starting over sucks. When we moved to West Virginia, right before my senior year, I'd pretty much resigned myself to thick accents, dodgy internet access, and a whole lot of boring. Until I spotted my hot neighbor with his looming height and eerie green eyes. Things were looking up. And then he opened his mouth. Damon is infuriating, arrogant, stab-worthy. We do not get along at all. But when a stranger attacks me and Damon literally freezes time with a wave of his hand, well, something unexpected happens. The hot alien living next door marks me. You heard me, alien. Turns out Damon and his sister have a galaxy of enemies wanting to steal their abilities, and Damon's touch has me lit up like the Vegas Strip. The only way I'm getting out of this alive is by sticking close to Damon until my alien mojo fades. If I don't kill him first, that is.
That sounds fun.
Really probably should have suggested it with the first Bloodlines, because it's like, oh, there's this super hot guy, but oh, I kind of hate his guts out, and it's kind of like that first Adrian vibe when you just, you love him so much, but you also want to stab him.
That's life, isn't it?
It is. It really is.
Life and romance. Do we have an indie spotlight?
We do. This one is called Get You the Moon by Hasnita Singh. Scarlet Bridge is beautiful, intelligent, and ambitious. In her final year of high school, she has 5 goals she wants to achieve before graduation, and she won't let anything or anyone stand in her way. Not even everyone's favorite golden boy, Levi Hinari. And that's why I picked this one for this week, because again, it's the golden boy thing.
Yeah.
Levi has it all. Good looks, quick wit, and he's a rugby prodigy. And nothing gives him more pleasure than getting on Scarlett's every last nerve. Does it sound like anyone we know and love? When Scarlett accidentally dials Levi's phone number, a chain of events that neither of them expected is set into motion. Thrown together by a twist of fate, will Levi and Scarlett overcome the challenges of their final year at school, their mutual dislike of each other, and their own personal demons to successfully graduate?
Ooh. Very appropriate pick this week for the Indie Spotlight. I like it. I like it. That's really good.
All right. That's it for this episode of Fictional Hangover. I'm Amanda.
I'm Claire.
Join us next time as we discuss Across the Universe by Beth Revis. Look out for our Would You Rather polls on social media. Don't forget about our book club and monthly challenges on Facebook. Be sure to visit our shop on Redbubble at fictionalhangover.redbubble.com for all your favorite Fictional Hangover themed merchandise. And become a patron of ours on Patreon at patreon.com/fictionalhangover. Until next time, remember, the only cure for a fictional hangover is another book.
You can find us at fictionalhangover.com, follow us on Instagram at fictionalhangover, find us on Facebook at facebook.com/fictionalhangover, and on Twitter at fictionalhangover, no ER. If you'd like this episode, check out our others and rate, review and subscribe so you don't miss out. And finally, special thanks to Liz Emerson for our music. You can find her on Facebook and Patreon. Thanks for listening.